Welcome back to my channel. This is Dika from Dika's Adventures. Today I am going to talk about what is the best broadhead. Is there one broadhead on the market that outshines them all? All right, I'll talk about that, but before I get started, if you like the content that I talk about, if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my channel and like any of my videos, and obviously put comments in. I love comments. All right, so the best broadhead out there. Is there a best broadhead? I'm not sure that there is. As we go on YouTube and we find a plethora of broadhead tests, everything from well-known hunters talking about the best new broadheads of the ATA show, or the best new broadheads for 2020, or they have a vast array of broadheads that they're going to shoot through a hooter shooter, or they're going to shoot them through boards or plywood or into cinder blocks or through steel drums or anything like that. Do those tests help us find what is the best broadhead? I'm not sure that they do, and this is why. All of those arrows, they all weigh the same, and all those broadheads are roughly within inches of each other. That I think most of that is based on the sharpness of the broadhead. It could be the size of the broadhead too. I mean, because if you're shooting a larger diameter broadhead, I would think that you would need a little bit more oomph, a little bit more maybe poundage or kinetic energy to push that through further than one smaller with the same bow setup. So if I say I'm shooting a 55-pound bow and I'm going to shoot a Muzzy 1-inch broadhead, and that's going to shoot right through. Say it shoots 9 inches in ballistic gel. And then I'm going to put on a 2-blade, 2-inch cut Rage, still shooting 55 pounds. It's not going to go through the same amount of that ballistic gel because, first of all, there's more surface area, and it takes energy for that broadhead to open up. So it's like apples to oranges. You can't compare them. You would need to change your arrow weight, or maybe add a little more poundage, or have a different draw length for that larger broadhead to make it through that same medium further. It's not going to go any further based on just science. And then we talk about the fixed ones that go through. I think a lot of it's just based on sharpness. I think that some of these people that are doing these tests, and I don't know, I'm not there, but I get the assumption that they take them right out of the package and they put them on the arrows. They don't sharpen them. You could, and don't get me wrong, a lot of broadheads, when they come right out of the package, they're sharp. They're sharp as shit. But you can sharpen them further. And there's other people that out there, regular archers, not people doing these tests, that they sharpen their broadheads, or they just buy replacement blades, and maybe they sharpen them, maybe they don't. But I think a lot of this ballistic gel test is based on the sharpness, and I think a lot of it, you can't compare mechanicals to fixed blades because it's apples and oranges. You can't say one out penetrates the other ones with the same exact setup. I mean, you can, but the mechanical is always going to fail because it takes a little, excuse me, I think that they say it takes, 10 to 15% of the energy is lost with a mechanical. So you have to shoot a stronger draw weight or draw length, or have a heavier arrow to shoot those further. I think that's a fact based on science. So what do we know? We know that all these tests that they run out there on YouTube, that the fixed blades usually win. Usually, almost every time. You shoot, like, the claim to fame is that the mechanicals can't shoot the quartering away shot. I'm not sure that that's true, and I'm not sure that testing it on a piece of plywood is applicable either. An animal moves. So I mean, if say I'm going to get shot here, when I hit, I'm going to move, and that's going to change the whole shape of the animal when that broadhead hits. I always thought that quartering away shots, the animal almost kind of grabs the arrow. Now it might kick a little bit because the blades are opening, But let me know in the comments what you think about that. It's very controversial, but I think shooting it into quartering away plywood is not. It's not applicable. It's not a solid medium to test whether or not a mechanical is going to perform on a quartering away shot. Now they shoot them in the steel drums and all these other things, and with the intent of just breaking broadheads or seeing which ones can take it. But nowhere in the hunting world are we going to be shooting through steel drums. So fixed blades, they always win all of these, and the mechanicals usually break, or the blades bend for the most part. We have hybrids out there, but I personally just think that that's more surface area for they're less streamlined, and it's more surface area, and I think you're going to lose a lot of penetration on that. Now you may make a big blood channel or wound channel, but the pass through is, unless you're shooting just an 80-pound bow or a very, very heavy arrow, I'm not sure you're going to get those 2 holes that we all hope for. 2 holes are better than 1. So they have these tests, and the mechanicals always lose, so to speak. But if you look at the sales on the market, mechanicals are the best selling of all, by 3 times over. They sell 3 times as many mechanicals as they do fixed blades. Now, is that because there are more people buying them, or is it because they're breaking and more people want them and they don't want to change because they think that they fly like field points? Which has also been proven in the world using hooter shooters and these machines that we use to shoot the bow, that it's not the broadhead's fault. Most of the broadheads that are coming out right now fly exactly like your field points. You just need to tune your bow to your field points. It's not a matter of moving your sight. I know back in the day, people talked about, well, they had to move. You shoot your field points, then you put your broadheads on, and then you tune your broadheads to your bow. It's not the case anymore. It's operator error, or it could be there's a lot of people building their own arrows and whatnot. It could be a wobble in your arrow. It could be it could be a fletching problem. It could be a rest problem. It could be multiple things. But once you put a broadhead on there, any little detail that's off, it exacerbates it. So you could shoot your field points all day long, and you could be pulling to the right just a little bit, but you don't notice it. And then you put a broadhead on there, and it just takes off like an airplane off to the right. That's why we have fletchings, to help control our broadheads. But anyway, so all these tests, I find that the fixed blades always usually win, and I wrote down a couple manufacturers that seem to be the ones that kind of always win these. One is Ramcat, and I've shot Ramcats in the past, but I think they lack structural integrity. I mean, the ferrule, it works, but those blades bend. You hit ribs and they bend. They're good. They work good. I shot the 125s, and they made a good hole, and they always worked. Wasp was another one, and I know they've very good structural integrity in Wasp. Exodus, Muzzy, the Nap Thunderheads, Rocket, Shuttle T, and I think it was called the F-15 by Carbon Express. Those were always the ones that kind of won all these sort of competitions or tests, or the penetration tests or whatnot across the board. And it's usually always a fixed blade. So to come down to what is the best broadhead, I think the best broadhead is something that has structural integrity and you have confidence in. I think ultimately you want something that is going to push through that animal when you have that bad shot. When you have you're going to give yourself a little bit of four-wheel drive to push through that animal. Now, me personally, I think it's having more momentum over speed. But there's a push for that now. There's a lot of people talking about forward of center and heavy arrows and big broadheads and heavy everything. I've always gone kind of heavy, and this year I've gone a little heavier. This year I shoot. Over here. I'm shooting the Grizzly Stick Samurais. these ones here, the 200 grain, single bevel. But my whole arrow, I've got feathers. I got 4-inch feathers on there, and my whole arrow weighs 670 grains, and most of it's up front. But that's just me. I think structural integrity is what you need. I think you need a little bit of forward of center, and you just need to have confidence in your broadhead, and that's what's going to work. I personally think that mechanicals don't have structural integrity, and I think that sometimes they fail. Those blades just don't open consistent enough. And that's where you run into problems. I think that if you have a broadside shot and you're shooting a 2-inch range and you're shooting a 40-pound bow, I think you're going to be fine. It's going to work. I don't know if it's going to go all the way through, but it's going to work. This will go all the way through all the time, even if I hit bone. So food for thought. Take it into account. If you like what I'm talking about here, or you just like my channel overall, please subscribe to my channel. It helps out a bunch, and I'll talk to you guys later. All right, be well.